whole bunch.
Shalom. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Harakakodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to all the hopeful elect brothers that's doing the will of the Lord in sincerity and in truth. Now, for this lesson, I'll be going over the recent mishap of the rocket that exploded just as it was about to take off. And people are describing it, their reaction is like, yo, this look like an atom bomb. Like that's the closest thing that they seen to a atom bomb explosion. And this will happen to a whole country, not just one rocket that went bad and then it exploded, but the whole country is gonna be bombarded with, as the scriptures say, 200,000, 200,000. That's gonna be the amount, because you have the missiles, and then you have, out of that, you have the subunits. You have the warheads that come out from one missile. And I'm gonna get a scripture. This is it's not the scripture. Y'all read this. This is Isaiah chapter 34 and 16. It says, let me get Isaiah 9, Salakia. Isaiah 9. Isaiah 9 and 5. For every battle of the warrior is fought, it is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. So, back in the ancient world, back before the technology of, nuclear weapons and, the technology of having guns and tanks and weapons like that. The men in the ancient world, they fought with swords and shields, and it would be close combat. Like for example, like you ever watch a samurai movie, and you see the two swordsmen fighting, or just one samurai going through like 10 other swordsmen and slashing and dicing them up. Well, back in the ancient world, it was like that. It was close contact. For every battle of the warrior is fought with confused noise. Yeah, because when one army goes to meet another army for battle, there's usually a battle cry. And when they start fighting, when they start attacking each other, there's a sound of clashing metal. Just pure movement. That's a confused noise. And garments rolled in blood. Usually, there's blood, because once you get sliced by a sword, or gets stabbed in their side or stabbed in their heart, there's a lot of blood. But this shall be with burning it fuel of fire.
Tiana Taylor here. Sure, your playlist is fire, especially if you bump in one of my joints. But not everybody needs to hear it, so keep it in your headphones, okay? Courtesy counts.
But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. And that's the Third World War that, technically we're in it, but it hasn't, heated up yet to where, all the nations, finally gather in the Middle East, in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, to battle. And then, the end of all that is a nuclear war where nations like Russia and China will shoot missiles on America and vice versa, but only two countries are going to be completely, annihilated, and that's Babylon the Great, which is the U.S., and the land where Amalek is at right now, which that land has to go because it's polluted. Amalek polluted it, so it has to go. But our land is going to be built back up. That's the only difference. America is going to be left as a giant desert, as a monument of a wicked kingdom. What happens when the wicked rule? That's what happens. Now, I'm gonna play some of it. This is from Wesh. I'm not. Okay, so it's from Florida.
Get lightened up. Looks like the atom bomb.
Okay.
It literally like the war was ending. It's still lit. Did a plane crash?
And this happened in the U.S. and people witness it. So imagine when the missile hits, it's gonna be a million times worse.
Maybe, I don't know.
No, it wouldn't have been a plane crash.
It shot more fire.
And this is a foreshadowing of things to come. It looked like the atom bomb. And the atom bomb was, I believe the atom bomb was Hiroshima, Nagasaki. And then after that, you had the hydrogen bomb, which led into the nuclear bomb. Let me see. Atom bomb. It says atom bomb. The atom bomb and the nuclear bomb are fundamentally the same category of weapon, as both derive their destructive power from nuclear reactions. However, atom bomb refers to older fission-only devices, while nuclear bomb is a broad umbrella term that also includes modern, highly destructive hydrogen thermonuclear bombs. So, yeah, the atom bomb was used in World War II history. These are the type of weapons used at the end of World War II, such as Little Boy and Fat Man bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And now we have thermonuclear bombs. ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missile. You could go from one continent to the other. Some of them in like 30 minutes because the technology just keeps on improving.
Than I've ever seen in my life. Okay.
That is just one of dozens of 911 calls that were made last night after Blue Origin's New Glenn rocket exploded on the pad.
Orlando's only news chopper showing you what's left behind. A launch pad destroyed, heaps of metal on the ground.
But this is what that launch pad looked like right after 9 o'clock last night. Flames glowing in the dark after the New Glenn rocket experienced what Blue Origin calls an anomaly. And it's something that viewers saw all across Central Florida. And if you did...
Yes, because I think this was live. it was being recorded. It was live.
Didn't see it in person.
So-
You probably saw videos just like the ones behind us on social media.
Yeah, the explosion could have lasting impacts on the space industry. We have live team coverage across the Space Coast today. Let's get right out to West 2's Stuart Moore at the Kennedy Space Center. Stu.
And Jesse and Lindsay, we haven't seen something like this from Cape Canaveral in roughly 10 or so years. What started as a standard test going ahead of this rocket launch for the private company Blue Origin ended with that massive explosion that we all saw last night. Just around 9 o'clock at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, the New Glenn rocket was doing an engine fire test. The rocket was unmanned and did not have its satellite payload on board. Officials say everyone is accounted for and no one was hurt. But this is what investigators have to work with, a field of rocket parts and charred debris. It's not clear exactly what causes.
All right. Now I could get Isaiah 54. Isaiah 54 and 16. It says, Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy. So the smiths back then made weapons. They made swords, and they, the whole procedure of taking the metal and using the hammer and shaping it and forging it into a sword, into a weapon. They would have to put it in the fire, because when it's in the fire, you could shape it. It's malleable. If I'm saying that word right, correctly. That bloweth the coals in the fire. Usually you need, oxygen, to control the temperature of the heat of the fire. And that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. I have created the waster, and I have created the waster to destroy. So the modern day smith are the nuclear scientists, the scientists that work on these nuclear programs, because it's not just one person, it's a whole team. Nuclear physicists, they have probably have like a research department. They have to get the parts made. They have to design it. They have to look over like a previous missile and see what was missing. And, probably they got a new chip that they could put in to test it to see how it works. The navigation system, the guiding system, or they call it like the homing system. Like it's a whole project. Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work, and I have created the waster to destroy. Right? The Lord is putting it in Esau, Edom, and these other nations to come up with all these missiles and more, because more countries are starting to develop or are wanting to develop their own missiles. Poland is one of them, because I remember I did a video on it. Poland is one of them. More countries are going to either make more missiles than they already have, or start making missiles for themselves, because 200 million is not Salakia. 200,000 is a lot. Now, it's these nuclear scientists, nuclear physicists. No, not this. The team. See. Steps to the nuclear teams behind it. Teams and I would say groups, jobs behind it. All right, listen to this. I'm gonna end the lesson soon. Building a nuclear missile requires highly synchronized efforts across science, engineering, and logistics, because they have to have the parts be made somewhere else, and they have to bring the parts together, and then they have to put it together. That also the technology, that goes into it. The creation process bridges theoretical physics with industrial manufacturing, managed by specialized teams working on warheads, guidance systems, and delivery vehicles. So, through the spirit, that's pretty much what I explained before. And that's beautiful, because I didn't really go into the steps behind it. It just came to me. Even though it's a somewhat lucky guess, but it's the spirit. Professional fields and complex systems. The development of such technology involves the integration of several advanced disciplines, theoretical physics and chemistry, advanced aerospace engineering, materials science. Specialists develop advanced composites and heat-resistant alloys. The Smith. And the ways to destroy, because these nations are coming up with these missiles to destroy a certain area. Other places are going to get hit too, but mainly Babylon the Great. And it's going to be wasted. It's going to be turned into a desert. Composites and heat-resistant alloys necessary for components to withstand thermal and physical stresses of atmospheric transit. Systems engineering and logistics. These teams manage a large-scale industrial infrastructure, secure supply chains, and safety protocols required for handling sensitive materials and high-precision machinery. Sensitive materials, they have the uranium, that go into these two. Airframes, high altitude. Okay, want to know what? That's the end of the lesson. Lord was edifying. This is a foreshadowing of what's to come. All praises, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Harakak Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom.